Hello everyone, it's Liam the Death Doom Metalhead, and today is a death metal only update. All of this is filthy, horrible, extreme, brutal death metal in old school fashion, new school fashion, you know, very mixed. And some of these are 2023 releases as well, so you can check these out. But as well, there's some really cool albums from last year in this stack. Now we'll kick off with a brand new release for 2023. This is a Florida based band, I think Gainesville they're based out of, and that is the latest from the band. Hot Graves. This is put out through Gurgling Gore. This was called Plague Wielder. Band formed in 2008, and this is their third album. I believe also this is their last ever release, so this is like their swan song. Is that the right word? I think it is. But yeah, I mean, this is some kind of blackened death thrash. You know, it's got a very mixture of the three styles. This is the shell. The lights are really bright, so hopefully you can see that. But yeah, this is fucking very different to what I'd normally listen to, because it's got it's got Michael Colby, who was in Wolf Lurch and a load of other cool projects, so I kind of knew I was going to enjoy it because his music's pretty decent. And then it's got the vocalist, I think, from Wolf Lurch in here as well, who plays drums on this, and artwork is killer. And yeah, it's very catchy, very riffy. Has very much that kind of 80s flair to it as well. Solos have got a lot of really cool ultra effects on it to kind of give it that kind of 80s kind of glam metal sound almost as well in the shredding department. So yeah, really wicked release. This is one I didn't expect or even know anything about really. It was kind of blindly bought, and it's fucking awesome. I mean, the cover alone is what sold it. I mean, the J card, I should just show you the J card. It's got the hot pink flare going on there as well, with lyrics and a picture of the lads there and who's in the band, etc. So yeah, well worth checking out. I'll obviously leave links below and you can check it out for yourself. But yeah, some death thrash is not something I normally go for, but that one hit the spot, and the solos on it are absolutely fantastic. So yeah, Hot Graves with Plague Wielder. Now I've got a stack here from a Chinese label called Awakening Records. Now I bought these a while ago now, and I've had good time to spend with each of these albums. They're all varied from across the world. They're not all Chinese bands or anything like that. They are all across the globe, and they're all fucking brilliant. They really are. Now the first one is a Colombian death metal band that formed in 2010, and this is their second full length from 2022, and that is Casket Grinder with Sepulchral Trip, 4-piece. And these guys are wicked. Like, so all these releases, I'll start with that. So all these releases come with like an Obi strip, which you kind of expect. All of these have got that, and all the CDs are kind of done in this really cool artwork. They all look similar, but like a skateboardy kind of Californian style tattoo. That's how I would describe it anyway. But this is some no nonsense, very South American death metal. It's fast, it's chunky. It's got that rawness to it. It's very much like a 90s sound as well, and it just really goes, lots of groove in it. It's got a Pestilence cover right at the end, and yeah, it's just brilliant. Really strong release. The artwork's killer as well. I think they also put an album out in 2021, so they've been around, what did I say, since 2010. They've stuck 2 albums 10 years later out, and they're really good. So yeah, go check them out. Casket Grinder. And the next one from that stack, this one came out I think last year on several labels, 2 of them being in Australia, and then this one is the Chinese CD version. So this is Cryptivore with the album Celestial Extinction. This is a one-man project from Queensland in Australia. A chap by the name of Chris Anning, who's on the back there. Now this is kind of, it sounds almost like Finnish death metal in a way, like that kind of thrashy, ultra aggressive, very much there's no breathing, you know, there's little gaps in, but he's just fucking pummels you to death. He does everything on this album, does Chris, and it's really strong, very chunky, very thick, and this is his debut from 2022. And it just goes. So you've got the Obi strip in there again with their other releases, and then you've got the CD there. I spin it around so you can actually see it properly. Again with that kind of cool like tattoo kind of artwork. But yeah, another really solid album. Very much in the vein of that old school death metal in the Finnish style in my head anyway. So like oh, I can't think off the top of my head, but you listen to it below and you tell me, because yeah, it slaps hard, as the kids would say. Now this one I'm well chuffed to have. Now this is a re-release from the label, and this is a Chilean band called Inanna, and this is their second full length from 2012. The band formed in the year 2000, and I have their debut on tape, and they put another album out last year as a full length, so they've only got 3 albums out. This is their second one, and these guys are in the kind of progressive death metal vein. They've got their sound is like a spiritual landscape, so it's nothing like progressive in a way like, I don't know, like the last Death album, say. It's kind of got that element to it, but these guys kind of use a lot of atmospherics and the melodies, and the way it is like you're kind of like a I don't know what the fuck you call it, like a plane in this big landscape. Astral plane, is that the word? Yeah, something like that. And it has all that kind of vibes where you're kind of tripping out, that kind of thing. Does that make any sense? But these guys have that kind of weird sound to their death metal, but it's heavy, it's catchy, it's technical. I mean, they can sure play their instruments. So their CD's a little bit different. It's a bit more black, but more releases here. You get a full book with a liner notes and everything like that, so you get your money's worth. I mean, that's a thick booklet as well, it's not a small one. And these guys just fucking a brilliant band, so if you never check them out, obviously please do, but that one is really, really strong. And then this is another reissue. This is more of a comp though from the label. Now there's 2 bands of this name from America. This is Gehenna, and this is the Pennsylvanian version, not to be confused with another version that started off as black metal, then became a hardcore band. These guys are around only in the early 90s, purely as death metal, then disbanded. So this comp is their 2 demos from 91 and 92, and it features former members of Incantation in there. I think there's only actually 2 members left of the band still alive today. And yeah, this is fucking amazing, like proper 90s old school death metal. I imagine most people of that time period would know this band, but they were totally new to me because I knew the black metal one, I didn't know these guys, and I assumed it was the same band, and I was dead wrong. So there's one with the Obi strip there again. So yeah, go check out Awakening Records. All of these are killer, well made. This one's got like a write up of the band with like liner notes. I'll show you this one, so it's got a bit of history in it. You get these massive booklets, and they're really hard to get out of the tray, but you get, you know, a good write-up of the band there. You got like gig flyers, you know, old photos, you know, really, really cool for CD releases. So you can get that. That's quite easy to find, that release. I think a few labels have re-released that comp over the years. So go check it out if you can find it. So yeah, Gehenna, really good, like proper 90s old school death metal, because it came out in the 90s, so it's raw, crunchy, groovy, American style death metal. What more do you need to know about that? Now this one is a totally brand new release. I think it's only been out maybe less than a month now. This is a Scottish band based out of Edinburgh, and this is their debut for this year. The band is called Fanag, and the album is called Throne, I think. And this was put out through Macho Records, stellar label. So this is the tape. Clear there with a bit of red through it. Now these guys, I've never even heard of these guys before. I kind of blindly bought this because I normally do with Macho Records. And these guys here is a 3-piece there. You can see them there. Now, reading their names, I was assuming they were Polish. And the reason I thought that before I checked out they're actually from Scotland is because they sound very, very similar to that kind of Polish blackened death metal scene, like Behemoth, Hate. There's tons of them. They all have a similar style where it's very brutal, very heavy, blasting drums, guitars are tuned quite low, and it has that kind of black metal edge to it, but it's very much death metal. And these guys sound exactly like that for a Scottish band. So it could be that they are Polish and they now live in Scotland, but you know, it doesn't really matter. But they sound like Polish death metal. So if you know what I mean by that, you'll get exactly what I'm talking about. This is a very strong album. I think it's nearly an hour long. And it's well written, it's groovy in some parts, there's some really wicked riffs on this. It's chunky, evil sounding, Drums sound massive, vocals are really low and guttural. And yeah, fucking solid work from Macho Records as normal, promoting the Scottish scene. So yeah, go give that a rouse, that was really, really cool. Now this one was a surprise to me, and I'm not 100% got my head around it yet. Now this is another one that I blindly bought when it was announced, and it was one that I had the previous album from, and it was brilliant. I really liked it, and I know loads of other people checked it out. It's a band that don't really promote themselves, you don't even know who's in the band. But this one is totally different, and this is the latest from Morkera, and this one's called Aggravations. So this is another self-release that came out this year, 2023. I think their last one came out maybe 2 years ago, 2021 by memory. And it follows a similar vein as it's kind of black and death metal. Has a soul character on the front of the cover. This is a Croatian band. I want to say they formed around the early 2020s, but there's no confirmation on Metal Archives at least, or when they did form. But I would imagine it had been around then. But I could be dead wrong. And this is the first press that was only 100 copies, and I've got press 92. And it has this little booklet inside here. That's nearly impossible to get out without bending it. And you've got your lyrics in there. Very, very minimalistic. There's no band photo, there's nothing. So this is very different from the previous album because it's almost like almost a shift in the style. So they were very much a black and death metal band, where it was very much the death metal was the forefront on the first album. It had some groovy elements into it, it had some instrumental stuff, it was heavy. But this one has kind of gone in a different direction, where it's more focused on the kind of blackened style. It's got a very much a weird kind of raw drum sound to it. When I say weird, it's because there's a lot of time changes in there that don't make sense. A lot of overblasting, but you think it's overblasting, but when you actually listen to it, it is in time and it all makes sense. But when you listen to it from afar, you think, oh, that's a bit full on, you know. Because it just starts, the album just goes. There's no intro, nothing, just fucking full on in your face instantly. Like, there's no count in, nothing. It just storms right in there. And it's got like lots of unique time changes. It's very raw. It's very, very aggressive. The vocals are kind of back a little bit in the mix. They're not as the forefront, like they were very death metal in the first album, whereas this one they're kind of back in, they kind of blend in with the atmosphere. And it's not an easy album to get into as the first one was. This is very much more of a, you've got to listen to me a few times to understand what we're trying to do. And it is good. It's very good. If you're a musician point of view, for musically it's not an easy listen, so I'm still struggling a little bit with this one. I'm enjoying it, but it was nowhere near as catchy as the first one, and I think it's because the first one was obviously a more simpler approach, whereas this one they've gone, fuck you, we're going to do what we want, we're going to up the tempo, we're going to change it, and you know, if you're up for it, you know, go for it. So yeah, really, really cool. I can see a lot of people at the end of the year probably changing their mind about this, because I think a lot of people have struggled with this as well initially. And I think over time it will impress more and more people. So yeah, Morkera. Now this one is dead easy to get into because it's so simple. It's just no nonsense, brutally heavy Texas death metal, and that is the band Stabbing. Now this is their debut from 2022. Band formed in 2021. This was put out through Comatose Music. And this is some female fronted death metal. Now that means nothing really in death metal worlds, because excuse me, the death metal is guttural, so it doesn't matter who you are, female or male, it's going to sound brutal. And the lady on this album does it fucking brilliantly. Like, sometimes, this isn't a sexist thing, so some females just can't do it, and it sounds very strained and almost like it's just not got the aggression to it. But the lady on here, fuck me, she can belt it out. You wouldn't even know it's female fronted. And it's got a female bass player on as well. You know, it's a fucking quality, brutally heavy death metal band. Texas groove in there, but it's got some slam elements in there. Drums sound massive. It's got that really nasty snare ting to it. Big chunky breakdown, some wicked solos on this as well. Really good solos. And it's just fucking heavy, like really heavy, like face of the curb, stomp on their head. That's how heavy it is. That kind of vibe. And yeah, I like this a lot. So if you haven't checked that one out, strongly recommend that. If you struggle with the slam stuff, it's in there, but it's just really groovy, so you'll love it. And lastly, this is quite a short update, but this one is another one that I checked out very late on in 2022 and I completely missed it, and then I picked it up midway through this year. And this is the band Lunar Blood. The band are based out of New Jersey, formed in 2020, and this is their debut from 2022. And for all you HM2 nerds out there, this is pure HM2 war-themed death metal. I think it's war themed. I mean, the album artwork will suggest it is. What kind of war, I don't really know, because it looked like it got some kind of SS looking chaps shooting some kind of Mad Max looking dudes here, so don't know kind of what world that's about, but I like it. So this is just really no nonsense, heavy, groovy, brutal death metal with the HM2 guitar tone, guttural vocals, and yeah, it just goes. You know, put out through Pulverized Records, which I think is from Singapore, but I could be dead wrong on that. And yeah, what more do you need to know about HM2 death metal? That they're all the same. We've got that Entomb kind of sound, Dismember kind of sound. You know, they're all borrowing from that, but then they've got very much a American style death metal in there as well. So yeah, well worth checking out. Very strong album. So yeah, that was a very short update because I am sweating my tits off. So if you've watched it to the end of this video, please like it, say I'm alright. And if you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing and checking out all my other content around my sweaty head. In the meantime, please take care, and I'll speak to you guys in the comment section. Cheers.